Hello, and welcome to Cigna's Aptitude for Contact Center Intelligence, a one-to-one media Take 30 webcast sponsored by InContact. I'm Myla D'Antonio, Editor-in-Chief of One-to-One Media, and your moderator for today's event. Today's speakers are Emily Houlihan, Manager of Social Media Internet Customer Service at Cigna, and Dietrich Krolin, Director of Call Escalations and Internet Customer Service. Welcome, Emily and Dietrich, and thanks for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Before I review the agenda, let's go over the ON24 interface. If you have a question for Dietrich or Emily, please click on the red Q&A icon. If you encounter any technical issues with the system, please click on the question mark for a list of FAQs. Please turn off your pop-up blockers because there will also be a survey during the Q&A portion that we'd encourage you to participate in. All attendees will receive an email with a link to the archived version of this webcast. Finally, if you're tweeting, our hashtag for this webinar is one-to-one-media. Let's move on to today's agenda. Dietrich and Emily will discuss the strategy behind Cigna's service channel integration, tips on tracking, analyzing, and applying voice of the customer feedback through the contact center for organizational improvements, and designing a social media response strategy. This webcast will also be followed by a Q&A portion and the post-event survey. So let's get started. Cigna, which was a winner in the Gartner and One-to-One Media CRM Excellence Awards this past May, realized a while back that developing a social media strategy to engage its customers and connect them to customer service was an important opportunity for the business, as well as a chance to boost customer loyalty. Additionally, Cigna realized that social channels provided options for its customers to engage with the company in the manner that worked for them, as well as provide transparency in customer interactions. Dietrich, measurement is an important component to all social engagement initiatives. Cigna measures success via its organization's transactional NPS and customer satisfaction scores. You realize a 20% increase in Cigna's score over a 12-month period, and you attribute your social media strategy as one component which positively influenced the increase. Can you share the reasons why social media influenced that score?
Sure. Thanks for the question. So for background purposes, I'm going to give you a little backdrop first and then jump into the NPS question. So first of all, Cigna's mission is to help the people we serve improve their health, well-being, and sense of security. This mission is then further supported by three growth strategies: go deep, go global, go individual. Social media is a factor in all three strategies that support the mission. First, it helps broaden our product and service portfolio. Second, it's a global effort. And thirdly, most important in the social space, it helps establish a deep understanding of our customers and their needs. As you can imagine, healthcare industry is confusing, it's complicated, and insurance doesn't always have a positive consumer reaction. To that end, we need to overcome the odds by letting our customers know that we're here to listen, to understand, and to help them ultimately make it easier for them to interact with us. So full transparency isn't something that is always allowed, and it's difficult in this space due to HIPAA and privacy laws. However, we engage to the best of our ability online and then ask customers to take conversations offline when the information gets too personal. And how does this all tie to NPS? The Net Promoter Score is a simple calculation of promoters, 9s and 10s, less detractors, 0s through 6s. NPS is considered a true indicator of client loyalty and sales growth. It measures a customer's experience and gives an organization feedback on performance. We at Cigna find that there's a direct correlation between customer effort and NPS. The higher the customer effort, the lower the NPS. The lower the customer effort, the higher the NPS. We obviously want to focus on the latter category. By opening up an additional service channels, it allows us to meet our customers where they want us to be. If they want their voice to be heard by many, social media is available to them. If they want to be more intimate, we have those channels available as well. We monitor the social media 24/7, 365. Our customers always get a response, and we exceed our goal of 90% within 30 minutes. Social media is only one of many focus areas and actions we're taking to drive transactional NPS. So to recap, there's three drivers here. One, make it part of the strategy and the mission. Two, reducing customer effort. And three, be available and drive resolution.
Great information, Dietrich. Thanks for that explanation. Emily, integration of customer service in your social media strategy also occurred about a year and a half ago when Cigna launched its Facebook pages. You developed a social media response strategy at that time and created training materials aligned with that strategy for the team. The ICSA team, as you call it, was already in place and expanded to cover social media. Can you describe how this team was trained in responding to social media inquiries and how they've been integrated into the overall service team? Also, maybe if you can share your objectives of this team, that would also be helpful.
Sure. Thank you, Mila. First of all, just to kind of explain, ICSA is Internet Customer Service Associate, so we shorten that to the ICSA team. And our Internet team is very unique, and I would say that they have a much broader scope than a traditional frontline representative, in that most everything is available via the web. Also, our Internet team is up and running 24/7, 365. So they're very well positioned to take on the social media channel and allow for continuous customer engagement versus a restriction to core hour customer interactions. There is a fair amount of preparation when coming to the social media team. There's additional training with writing, writing with empathy, site navigation on all the different sites that we are on, tracking the data, engaging appropriate contacts, when to raise the flags on our escalation process. The team partners up and works closely in the beginning, so it's really on-the-job training with lots of support, and no one issue is really the same. Mm-hmm. And for our objectives for the social media team, it's to improve our customer service, to provide options for our customers to engage with us in a manner that works for them in a space they're already involved in, to provide them some faster, more immediate responses, and it provides greater transparency in our customer interactions. So in a nutshell, it's just to make our customers' lives easier and their experience with Cigna more positive.
Emily, is that training ongoing or is it a one-time thing?
At this point, it's ongoing. We're learning new things as we deal with different situations. So it's continual. There's a base set of training when they come in, and then it's just continual. We're always learning and growing and changing for our customers.
I think our marketplace also demands that depending on what sites we're on. So initially we were on a couple of Facebook sites and then Twitter, and now we're dabbling in Pinterest, Foursquare, and other social spaces as well. So the team definitely has to keep up with what the market has available to it and that our customers have at their fingertips. So it's an iterative process. They're constantly training and learning both new tool sets, but also how to service the customers in the appropriate channels.
Great, thanks. Yeah, there's so many channels constantly coming on the scene. I'm sure that's a challenge. So Dietrich, also in developing your social media response strategy, a contact matrix was created to assist the team in efficiently connecting with individuals outside of customer service to help to respond to customers. Can you describe what's included in that matrix and how it works exactly?
Yep. So we maintain a very disciplined and updated contact matrix. So medical insurance requests are typically the high-traffic customer service volumes that we see here at Cigna, although we have multiple components to our business, right? We have the group, we have international, and then we have our core medical, pharmacy, et cetera. But the high-traffic areas were typically medical-type requests. So it was a natural fit into our organization, our customer service channel for kind of the medical CSAs or medical ICSAs to take on that work. So the site monitoring was naturally aligned to us. But we see inquiries coming from every line of Cigna's business as well as non-Cigna customers as well. So we had to ensure that our contact matrix consists of partners across all of Cigna to assist in answering the questions or concerns that come in from our existing customer base or future customers or in general just somebody in the public that wants to voice something. First and foremost is our customer service resolution. So that includes key contacts in our core operations such as claim eligibility, benefits, appeals, et cetera. So Our first priority is if a customer has a service issue that we're able to triage it and complete it in a timely manner. Secondly, we have key contacts throughout our broader organization, and that includes our Group Disability International partners. And then thirdly, we're cognizant that public customer service complaints can quickly grow in a matter of minutes or even seconds in some cases. They just kind of tack onto each other and snowball very quickly. So we have an escalation process in place to notify the appropriate parties immediately. We really don't have any time to be caught flat-footed, so having the right contacts in place to provide timely service to our customers is crucial to its success. And just a side note to that is that we had this all mapped out before we went live, so much of this wasn't trial by error. So I suggest to the folks that listening that might want to jump into the social media space that it's very important to have your key contacts mapped out internally, because ultimately, even though majority of the requests might be what you anticipate them to be, there's always going to be those one-offs, and you want to be prepared for those.
Great, and it seems to be working because I know Cigna's goal is to respond to 90% of customer-related issues within 30 minutes of each post. And the response strategy is to redirect customers to a more personalized service interaction by phone or direct email when appropriate. Can you share how the customer service reps on the phone are actually equipped to handle the inquiries from social?
Sure. This team is really put together of what you could almost consider a universal agent. Most of the ICSA started in customer service, so we take that steady base and then we build upon it. After they've spent time on the traditional internet team and fine-tuning all of those additional skills, then it opens up the opportunity for them to participate in the social team. And before I told you, of all the training that consists with that. It can be a transition for some, but we work together, and as Dietrich said, there are those one-off situations. So we're just there to support each other. We talk about responses and make sure that we're very open and to the new one-off issues that come up and make sure we take fresh eyes when looking at any of the issues.
Yeah, and let me piggyback on that a little bit too. So from in terms of handling queries from social, so anything that is HIPAA related or social security numbers, it's very surprising, in fact, like what customers are willing to put out in a social space in terms of private information, and we immediately take that offline, and to the extent possible, we'll actually hide posts so that other folks, external to Cigna, aren't able to see those posts. We obviously don't want social security numbers or ID numbers, et cetera, floating around out there. So our agents take that very seriously and are well trained on it.
I see. So in cases when customer privacy or information is exposed, that's when your agents are trained to hide the post.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Interesting. Does Cigna also have a knowledge base that may include all the inquiries in one spot that originated from the social channels, and how does the response team leverage that?
Yeah, so we have several tools that we utilize here at Cigna. And as this channel continues to grow, we seek more efficient ways of monitoring sites, managing the customer inquiries, and capturing the data. So, for example, current tools that we have on hand include what I would consider a homegrown database that captures the original inquiry, who's working the inquiry internally so we don't trip over ourselves, progression steps taken to resolution, what line of business it's associated with, and then we also add follow-up comments such as, was there a root cause to be analyzed? Was it what media source did it come from? And then we somewhat subjectively try to gauge the customer experience, whether or not it's positive or negative, and some additional factors around it. So that's some of the information that we utilize or that we track in our homegrown database. We have across the platform, so regardless if it's social media or our CSAs or claim processors, we have a knowledge management database that houses all of our SOPs, our workflows, alerts, transfer codes, et cetera. So that is a little bit more of a sophisticated tool. And then lastly, We have a CRM application that houses the customer's entire history regardless of service channel. So we'll log in, whether or not they called us or whether or not they came over via Facebook or whatever the channel might be. So we have in one spot the entire snapshot of a customer's history. As this space continues to grow and other internal partners grow in their respective social space, so we were kind of at the forefront at Cigna, and there's other areas that are expanding their social experience. So, for instance, our international partners, we're exploring tools that would better allow us to manage the social media space rather than just kind of a homegrown database. And these tools would then also help us automate some of the manual processes currently in place, such as automatically routing and assigning work, not only monitoring kind of the 16 sites that we currently check in on, but also troll the broader internet for other Cigna references and provide more sophisticated tracking and reporting.
And right now, is that data from the social, is it integrated with the existing knowledge base?
It's somewhat of a manual effort to transition from one to the other, but it is simultaneously tracked. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Success like yours, like at Cigna, typically is the result of executive suites championing these type of initiatives and communicating the benefits to the rest of the enterprise. Would you say that your team has that type of support from Cigna?
We absolutely do. Our Senior Vice President, Brett Browchek, and Vice President, Eric Galvin, they have provided our team with all the resources and talent for us to be able to deliver on our customer-centric promise and be there for our customers.
Yeah, I would say that the executive team is very engaged in our media space. We have organizational support without a question, and it doesn't exist within isolation. So, for instance, I mentioned before that, Emily and I mostly dabble in the medical space, but this is viewed with our marketing partners, with our branding, our public relations, international, our group partners. So the support really spans across all the organization, both domestically and globally. And then the results are actually shared on an enterprise service scorecard, and there are very few customer service presentations or strategies that don't include some type of social media reference. So the success of our team and the championing of our results at an executive level has also sparked other partners to start copying and establishing process and rolling it out very similar to what we have in place.
So just to clarify, you said the social results are typically included on the enterprise scorecard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unique.
Yeah, so we do have a line item on there, number of likes and so forth. So we are monitoring that at a enterprise level, and at our individual service levels, we provide obviously a little bit more detail rather than just a line item on the scorecard.
Great. So, Emily and Dietrich, what advice do you have for other companies maybe struggling to integrate their social media efforts into their overall service strategy?
So, Emily, if you don't mind, I'll kick it off, and if there's something
Sure.
that you want to add. So what we learned is that we have to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons, not because others are doing it. So really, you have to be committed to it. It isn't the type of customer service channel that you dabble in every few days, or at least for us, that's what it means. So it means being there for our customers when they need us. So we talked about the 30-minute response times that were available 24/7. The social media space isn't some place that you want to take your eye off, because if somebody's either not happy, that can grow rather quickly if you're not available to them. So we want to make sure that we're available to our customers. We want to make sure that you're tied off internally and don't roll this out in isolation. So we made sure that all of our matrix partners were tied in with our strategy. Make sure that there's an established go-to list so that we don't get caught flat-footed. Make sure that you've established an escalation process, and depending on your company, that includes tying in with our marketing, branding, and public relations. And then what additional steps that we've found are useful is how you establish your terms and conditions. what posts should be hidden, for example, like if somebody puts profanity on your site, whether or not you leave that up or take it down, what users should be banned. So example, if they're, somebody's insulting somebody else, like do you ban them from the site? So these are all things that you kind of have to think through before you go live with a strategy like that. And then lastly, I'll just point out that you have to clearly define roles and responsibilities so internal partners aren't tripping over each other. So from a Cigna perspective, right, we have the social media team that monitors this, but we have 30,000 employees that have the ability to view these pages as well. So you want to make sure that you have a strategy in place that you know who owns the post rather than 30,000 people scrambling to say like, hey, did you see this, by the way? So make sure that your process is well communicated throughout the organization.
That's terrific advice, Dietrich. Thank you so much. Just to, in conclusion, Emily, can maybe you explain how you plan to evolve the social service efforts that are in place at Cigna?
Sure. Right now, we're actually working on a global strategy, and we're trying to explore how we can offer more to our customers from social. So we're looking at ways to offer additional self-help options, maybe to be more proactive in reaching out to our customers, and definitely increase the positive interactions that our customers have with Cigna. And there's a lot of growth, so we're just looking at ways to improve and better ways to serve our customers.
Great. Well said. So thank you both, Emily and Dietrich. It's now time to kick off our Q&A session. First, a few reminders. If you'd like a PDF copy of the deck, click the Download Presentation button at the bottom center of your screen. If you missed part of the presentation or want to see it again, all attendees will receive an email with a link to the archived version. I'd like to remind everyone about the survey posted during the Q&A session coming up. Please take a moment to participate. You'll need to turn off your pop-up blockers to enable the survey. Now let's begin the Q&A. To ask Emily and Dietrich a question, just want to remind you to click the Submit Question button in the lower left-hand section of your presentation window. If we don't get to your question, we will email you a response afterward. So the first question is...
So there's a question out there from Patrick that asks whether or not we collect consumer feedback from each of your service channels.
Yes.
And yeah, so the answer to that is yes. We have survey results that we utilize a third party for that reaches out to customers and engages items such as we call it first call resolution, or was it what was the customer effort associated with it. So there's a list of questions that we go through, and then we review those results on a regular basis.
Great. The next question is for Dietrich. You mentioned the term transactional NPS. I'm familiar with NPS but haven't heard of transactional NPS. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, so there are typically two types of NPS that Cigna focuses on. There's the relationship NPS and the transactional NPS. So from a relationship NPS perspective, it's an overall perception of our company and our industry, and this score tends to be a little bit lower than our actually it can be quite different than our transactional NPS. The relationship NPS is based on perception of brand and industry. So I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation that we're in the healthcare space, the industry is insurance, so that doesn't necessarily correlate to a very positive NPS. However, how that relates to transactional NPS is based on an actual experience. So going back to the question of whether or not we collect data, yeah, so we reach back out on a transactional basis to determine how their experience or how a customer's experience was, a specific touch point, and this is more directly aligned to our customer service strategy.
Great. Next question is from Gina. How do you track the effectiveness of your ICSA team?
So that goes back, there's a couple of components to that. So we have internal, it's called call monitoring, internal call monitoring, even though the social media space is within our call operations. So we have internal monitoring, we have quality monitoring, And then we also have the survey results, so external survey results that I mentioned. That's just 3 avenues along with our daily performance goals that we have to match. So for example, we mentioned having to ensure that we have customer outreach within 30 minutes of a posting and so forth. So those are all types of tools that we utilize to gauge the effectiveness of the service channels.
Great. Another question is from Brock Silberzon. He'd like to know if you have completed the formal MPS certification.
So I don't know if I could actually answer that question or not. So I know that internally for our call operations, we follow the transactional MPS very closely. I can't answer whether or not Cigna on a whole has completed a formal MPS certification, but I am most certainly going to inquire now that the question has been posed.
Great. So another question is, when hiring CSAs to handle social media, do you look for different qualifications or personality traits in the phone reps, and if so, what do you look for?
Our representatives that handle social media are typically customer service trained to start. So we definitely look for traits that stick out with them. Maybe they're more proactive versus reactive. They're bringing the issues or the concerns to the surface and letting us know. Their writing and grammar is very important. And like Dietrich said, we have the internal monitoring, which when they're taking a phone call, of course, is recording the call. So it allows us to evaluate their verbal communications, their tone, the empathy that they express, and make sure they're able to handle the pressure of the escalations, because there's times when there'll be a lot of activity around one comment, and it can really get rolling quick. So you have to be able to kind of handle those high-pressure situations independently and know the right people to engage as necessary.
Great. It looks like we have one final question, and this person would like to know if your goal is to answer 90% of social media posts within 30 minutes. How do you accommodate for evenings and weekends?
So Cigna is staffed 24/7, 365. So we're essentially always there for our customers. We have staff that work around the clock, including holidays and weekends. And the ICSA team is actually the team that handles the after hours and the weekends and the holidays for all of our customer service here at Cigna. With that, we also have managers on site that know how to handle escalations. We have call trees and email distributions in place in the event that something bubbles up in terms of escalations. So in short, it's just another channel for our customers that's available to them 24/7, 365.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Emily and Dietrich, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. This concludes Cigna's Aptitude for Contact Center Intelligence, a one-to-one media Take 30 webcast sponsored by InContact. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for attending and have a great day.